Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. As you guys can see here, I have my little quarantine set up since I'm not going to be using my studio as much because A, it's cold in that studio. So if I'm not going to be in it regularly and I'm not warming it up regularly, then I don't want to be in there. So I set up like a little mini studio here. Sorry if I squint a lot. This light that I usually have is like shining right in my eyes, but I'm going to try to adjust to it. You see we got the Vision jersey over here. But yeah, we are going to be starting off today, May 11th, Monday. Happy Monday. We're going to be starting off with our newest FutureFight set, which is the Narukami, Aquaforce, and Claret sword in Shadows set. So I'm forgetting what this set is called, but it is V-EB12. So we're going to be starting the V-EB12 videos today. As usual, before we get started, if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe and click the bell button down below so that you don't have to miss any content going forward. Also, we're going to be starting some Vanguard Zero content, just kind of sliding it in parts of the week. I'm going to start off with like a couple of Vanguard Zero content videos at first, and then if they go well, I'll increase them and stuff like that. So Monday through Friday, expect a video from me on something, whether it be, you know, Cardfight Zero or Vanguard Zero or real Cardfight, but most likely it's going to be Vanguard Zero during the quarantine, because obviously not going out and playing a lot of Cardfight in real life, or we can't rather. So yeah. But like I said, subscribe, click the bell button down below. Be sure to check out our second channel, Let's Plays Animes, down in the description below if you guys are interested in anime, animation, or video games. Also, be sure to check out that big fat join button next to the subscribe button below if you guys are interested in extra perks from the channel, whether that be coaching, help with Decklist, and just seeing a lot of behind the scenes stuff and supporting the channel as well. Also, shout out to our sponsor Vision. They've been hosting amazing tournaments during this quarantine period, called the VCC, the Vision Cross Circuit. So definitely check that out on you guys' own time, if you will. They've been doing an amazing job, and I think they're just really doing a lot of astounding things for the community. But with that being said, let's get right into today's video. So today's video is going to be the V-EB12 Claret sword deck. Now, keep in mind, while I am making these next few videos, I did record these a really long time ago, as in like the gameplay and the deck list. So obviously over time, the deck lists have advanced, and I will kind of talk about that. But I think that these deck lists that are here are still an option, aka like my Vanquisher list I don't think has changed. You know, just stuff like that. So let's get right into it. So we have our ace card of this new Shadow Paladin deck, which is Claret Sword Dragon himself. So Claret Sword Dragon has two Vanguard abilities. The first one is when placed, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and place any number of grade 1s from among them into your drop zone, and then shuffle your deck, and then this unit gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn for each card put into your drop zone. So what this means is that obviously this deck, if you haven't figured it out already, is very focused on sending grade 1s to your drop zone, which works with like our main engine that we already had, all that stuff, so that we can get grade 1s into our drop zone and eventually use them for Claret Sword to try to finish our opponent. Now this deck is a very high speed and a high pace deck. Like, it runs out of steam very fast in my opinion. So you really want to kill them on like your first grade 3 turn or your second grade 3 turn, and then that's it. Like, I think if your opponent survives past that, like, you're either A, you're decking out, or B, your opponent's killing you, because this deck is not built to survive for a long time in my opinion. So obviously first skill gives you plus 10 for every card that you put into drop or every grade 1 that you put into drop zone from the top 3. And then the second skill, which is the skill that makes it truly threatening, is Vanguard once per turn at the end of the battle that it attacked, counterboss 1 and bind 7 grade 1 cards from your drop zone, stand this unit, and it gets -1 drive. So it is a restander, which means that with Force 1 or Force 2, it works very well with both. You're able to counterboss 1 and bind 7 grade 1s from your drop zone, restand, and it gets -1 drive, which means that it will attack with twin drive the first time and a single drive the second time, and you didn't have to blow anything from your hand to do it. unlike a normal restander like, you know, in Kagura or something like that. So you're straight up getting a +3 to your hand. However, you are losing 7 grade 1 cards from your drop zone, so be aware that that's why this deck is kind of high paced and fast paced. It's like you very much so want to know what the game state is at all times to force your opponent into a losing situation, because if you don't, then obviously you can't activate Claret Sword that many times a game. I would probably say like twice maximum is the Claret Sword activation that you can get off. But because of that, usually we go Force 2 because you'll get power from the first skill, and then you'll have the crit, the extra crit threatening with the power as well. And then you ideally want to go first, in my opinion, too, because if you go first, you can do all of this while your opponent's on grade 2, and it's really hard for them to handle the restand and all that stuff. So, yeah. Moving on to our grade 2s. Also, we only run 4 grade 3s, if you guys didn't figure that out already. We run 4 grade 3s only, unlike other decks, because we really just need the extra space for grade 1s and grade 2s in this deck, just so that we can kind of get our pieces going. But you do draw a lot of cards, and you have a couple cards that quote-unquote search Claret Sword by looking at top for it. So there are very few games where I feel like you won't find Claret Sword, but worst case scenario, you just G-assist for Claret Sword, and then you'll probably get it. Moving on to our grade 2s, we have 4 Morian Spear Dragon. Morian Spear Dragon has a Vanguard Rearguard activation skill, meaning that once per turn during your main phase, you can choose whenever you want to use this ability, and its cost is Soul Blast 1 and discard a card from your hand, draw a card, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power until the end of the turn. And then if a grade 1 was discarded for the cost, then you get plus 10,000 instead of plus 5,000. So obviously a very good card. All of the grade 2s in this deck kind of focus on being like early beaters, so that you try to get your opponent to like high damage by rushing them. You go to grade 1 and then you go to grade 2, you just go boom, 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 boom. You start rushing them as hard as you can, so that that Claret Sword turn is set up, and then is also they are at 3 to 4 damage before going to the Claret Sword turn, so that you have a decent chance of actually killing them. Moving on to our next grade 2, we have 4 Dark Pride Dragon. Dark Pride Dragon has a Vanguard Rearguard when placed ability that says when this unit is placed, it gets plus 5,000 power, and then you may note may, which means that you can or cannot do it. Like, you can basically choose when you want to do this second part of the skill. You put 3 cards from the top of your deck into the drop zone, and if a grade 1 card is put, you can pay the cost of Counterblast 1 and draw a card. So a couple things about this card that seem to be commonly misconceived is whenever this card is placed, it gets 5,000. Boom. It doesn't even matter. It gets 5,000. You don't have to activate any of the other skills for it to get the 5,000. So off the bat, whenever it's placed, it's 15k, and then you can choose to mill 3, and then even if you choose to mill 3, you don't have to Counterblast 1 to draw the card. However, if you're milling 3, chances are you do want to draw the card because you're trying to fill up your drop zone, or you're trying to, you know, get advantage or dig for your Claret Sword or do whatever. So just a lot of things to be considerate of that card skill. But also because it becomes 15k, it works great with all of our 8k boosters. Even our 5k boosters in the main make 20k columns, which on grade 2, you know, obviously if they get 1 trigger as a damage check, like, you're still hitting them with the Dark Pride column, boosted by 5k. So like I said, that grade 2 rush, just boom, 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 trying to stack up damage against your opponent so that you can get them to high damage to try to finish them off with an early Claret Sword Dragon. Then in this build, we're running 3 Witch of Iron Chains Nests. Now, originally I was running this card because of how it fills up your grade 1 or your drop zone frequently. So if you don't reach Morian Spear, I think it's very important to use a Soul Blast 1 cost, because you can Soul Blast out your grade 1 that you rode and discard a grade 1, or in Ness's case, retire a grade 1. So basically just helps you fill up your drop zone, and this card's decent. It's not the greatest card in the world, but I still think that it has value in the build. However, you can choose to opt to just run 8 grade 2s, and then change this to a grade 1 of your choosing, and just try to run more grade 1s. However, I think that running Ness is completely fine. So Witch of Iron Chains Ness has a rearguard ability that says when placed, Soul Blast 1 and retire a grade 1 rearguard. Your opponent chooses one of their rearguards and retires it, and then he or she cannot intercept until the end of the turn. So the only thing that's bad about this card skill is that your opponent gets to choose what they want to retire. So if they have multiple units and you only want to snipe one, and you and your opponent both know which of their rearguards is the most important one, chances are they are just going to snipe the other unit that's not important, so that you either have to attack into or use a second Ness's ability to retire that other rearguard. So yeah, just be careful of that. But obviously we're using it more so for the Soul Blast 1 and retire grade 1, so we can fill up our drop zone more than anything else. So the retire is just kind of a bonus, and the he or she cannot intercept is also just a bonus, because even on like a Claret sword turn, you can play it, and then maybe your opponent just has 2 grade 2s in the front row, so they just retire 1, which can work out well as well. Also, it works very, very well against Protect 2 decks, because if they cannot intercept, Angel Feather gets hurt by that really bad. So if they cannot intercept, they cannot use their Protect 2 defenses to protect them. So also be aware of that. So moving on to our grade 1 slots, we have 4 Cherishing Knight Brandwin. Brandwin is a staple card in the deck, just very, very good. It has a continuous Vanguard to Rearguard ability that says during your turn, if your drop zone has 3 or more grade 1 cards, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So another thing is with this, you want to attack with it, attack with whatever column this is in before you use the Claret Sword skill that turn, because if you do use Claret Sword skill that turn, chances are you are going to remove those 7 grade 1s from your drop zone, and then basically you're not going to be able to get the plus 5 from Brandwin anymore. So if you can force more guard, definitely do that. Definitely do that. So basically, if your drop zone has 3 or more grade 1 cards, boom, gets plus 5k. And then its secondary ability is when placed from hand, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 card from among it, and then shuffle your deck. And then if you put a card into your hand, discard a card from your hand. So this card is very, very good, obviously, because we only run 4 grade 3s. So it helps you get to your Claret Sword, but also you can discard a grade 1, which is very, very, very important. Another card to help you fill up your drop zone with the grade 1s that you need. Then we have 4 Blue Espada Dragon. Blue Espada Dragon skill is on Vanguard Rearguard Circle when placed. Look at the top 3 cards from your deck and then reveal up to 1 Claret Sword Dragon or 1 Morian Spear Dragon from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest into the drop zone, and then if your drop zone has 5 or more grade 1 cards, this unit gets plus 10,000 power until the end of the turn. So very, very useful card. 1, because it lets you search a Claret Sword or a Morian Spear. So if you already have a Claret Sword, you can search a Morian Spear. The only thing that I don't like about this card is that all the rest of the cards that you do see have to be put into the drop zone. So if you go like top 3 and then you find a Claret Sword and 2 triggers, those 2 triggers have to just die to the drop zone, and I just really don't like that. That's one of the things that I don't like about the Claret Sword deck the most, is that triggers just die sometimes from you milling like stuff like Dark Pride and Blue Espada. Sometimes you just lose your triggers and it sucks. But also, if you have 5 or more grade 1s in the drop zone, which you want to call this card when you are going to really reach that requirement, unless you really need to search a Morian Spear or a Claret Sword for a grade 2 or grade 3 ride, you really do want to play this card down when it will reach its requirement anyways, because it will get the plus 10k, and that will really help you close out the game, because an 18k attacker or booster is nothing to sneeze at. So moving on to our next grade 1, we have 4 Skull Witch Domain. This has obviously been a staple in pretty much every Shadow Paladin deck, I think, since ever in Standard. So it has an activation rearguard ability that says rest this unit, search your deck for up to 1 card with 5,000 power, call it to an open rearguard circle, shuffle your deck, and this ability can only be used up to 1 time a turn, even if you have multiple cards with the same name's card name on the board. So basically, if you have 2 domains on the board, you can still only activate 1 domain skill a turn. Now this makes this ultra useful to just play from the turn of grade 1. So you have another grade 1 and a domain in your hand on turn 1, boom, ride that domain, or sorry, ride that grade 1 that's not in the main, draw your card, use any of your additional effects, and then play that domain, and then rest to get a domain or a Blackwing Swordbreaker when you get to like grade 2 and stuff like that. Really helps you draw cards, and it's really turned into your whole engine, thins out your deck, and then also you can place over them at random times to help fill that drop zone requirement of 7 grade 1s for your Claret Sword ability. So moving on to our next grade 1 that we just talked about, 4 Blackwing Swordbreaker. Blackwing Swordbreaker, also another kind of staple card since it came out. Not always at 4, but in this deck, definitely at 4, because we want to get all the grade 1s out of our deck that we can, and anything that will help us draw cards is welcome. So we're running 4 Blackwing Swordbreaker. It says when placed on the rearguard circle, counterblast 1, draw a card, and then if this unit was placed from hand, it gets plus 5,000 power. So obviously another card that helps you kind of rush, quote unquote, / close out the game. Like if you go to your Claret Sword turn and then you play this from your hand, boom, that's a 10k booster or 10k attacker. So very, very good to rush your opponent and try to get him out of there real quick, try to yeet him. But last but not least, we run 2 Knight of Maneuvers, Obligor. So Obligor has a Vanguard rearguard ability that says when it attacks or boosts, you can retire a grade 1 rearguard in another column, and this unit gets plus 5,000 power until the end of the battle. So this card is amazing in my opinion, just because, like, let's say that you have 6 grade 1s in your drop zone, but you already went into Claret Sword that turn. Instead of having to play over another one of your grade 1s on board, you can just attack regular, attack with a column, and then attack with your Vanguard column boosted by Obligor, and then use Obligor's ability. So that will not only make your Vanguard column stronger, but it will get that grade 1 into your drop zone, making that hitting that 7 requirement that you need to have in order to use Claret Sword skill at the end of the battle. So just very, very good card. Really puts you in good positions. Also puts you in really good positions against Narukami, because what you can do is you can basically attack with a column and then attack with another column on your rear guard, and then get rid of a grade 1 in your front row, and then attack with another your Vanguard column with Obligor, and then retire the other grade 1 in the front row. So that leaves you with no front row. So it's very, very good against Narukami, because obviously Vanquisher wants you to have some kind of front row for them to get all their effects off. So yeah. Moving on, we have the grade 0s now. We run 1 Promising Knight David, obviously just our regular when rode upon draw card starter, and then errated, you get a quick shield if you ride over this card and your opponent is grade 1 or greater. So boom, basically if you go second, you get a quick shield. Very, very useful. You can discard it with abilities, stuff like Morian Spear if you don't have a grade 1, and stuff like that. So then for our triggers, we run 8 crit, 4 draw, and 4 heal. So unlike a lot of people, I'm actually just running 8, 4, 4. A lot of people are running 12 crit and 4 heal, and then they're putting the grade 1 PG somewhere in their grade 1 zone. But I don't do that, because I think that you still need the draw trigger. The draw trigger definitely helps. Sure, you deck out quicker in some scenarios, but it definitely helps in a lot more scenarios than it hurts, I feel like. And then also, we just don't want to put the grade 1 PG in our grade 1 slot, so basically we opted to run the draws instead. So let's go right into our replays here. So we're gonna load up Claret Sword 1, and of course it's been a while since I played or since I recorded these games. So we're gonna see here what I was playing against. So we're actually playing against V-EB12. V-EB12 is like a regular Vision player, so we know that he's a good player. So we're playing a Shadow Paladin versus Shadow Paladin matchup. Looks like he's playing a new version of Mordred Phantom. So he attacks us on turn 1. We go for the Dark Pride Dragon, and we use Ness's skill to retire one of his domains. Unfortunately, we don't have another Ness, or we could have sniped his other domain too, which would have been ultra helpful. But we attack with our Vanguard for 28. He hits a trigger, and we also hit a trigger. So he goes into Cursed Lancer, plays a Blackwing Swordbreaker, counter boss 1. He also goes into a Masquerade to get a Blaster Dark. We no guard his Vanguard. We do get a heal trigger, so he attacks into our Ness. We go Force 1 for our Claret Sword here. We do mill 2 grade 1s, so we are able to get plus 20k power. And then we use Dark Pride, and then we attack for 15. We attack for 56, and then we use the skill. Boom, 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 bind. And then he no guards our second attack as well. So I guess it could have been more threatening if we went Force 2. We just didn't know that we were going to mill the 2 grade 1s to make it really big. So what I didn't want to do is, I know Claret's or Mordred is very good in the late game. We just wanted to go for a second Claret Sword. So with that being said, like, we definitely wanted to go Force 1 just to like force a lot more pressure on our opponent. So we mill 2 grade 1s off of the on ride skill, making us 43 once again. And let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grade 1s in the drop zone. So we just do everything that we can to fill up our drop zone even more. So we attack his rear guard. And then we attack Vanguard for 43. He one passes us. We get a crit. We put on Vanguard. Boom, he takes the damage, and it's over with. So basically what would have happened in the alternative, if we did not get a trigger, we would have counterbossed the one with a Claret Sword, restood it again, and then I don't think BBXC would have been able to take it along with our remaining 25k rear guard that we had. So as you guys can see, like I said, we kill really early, really fast, and that is how the deck has to go. Like, in order for you to try to clinch a win with this deck, like, you have to kill them early. You have to kill them fast. So for game 2, we're playing BB Exceed once again. We're actually starting again. So we drew a card, and we actually got a Claret Sword off of the Blue Espada Dragon, which was pretty nice. Our opponent rides has the same opening in the main turn as pretty much last time. We do Dark Pride. We don't have a counterblast though, so you know, it is what it is. But we attack, we do get a crit, so that is helpful. Our opponent rides Masquerade, gets a Mordred Phantom off of the Masquerade, sets up his grade 1 Blaster Dart card so that he can make a column with his Swordbreaker. So we take his Swordbreaker attack, but we block the other one. We use Claret Sword, and we actually get 3 grade 1s off the top, like blessed. So basically, we are just playing all the cards here. Just to try to get a good rush of our opponent. So we attack for 66, hoping to hit a crit. We do hit a crit, so we give the crit to Vanguard and the power to our rear guard. We restand, we attack for 53. Thank goodness for BB Exceed, he does have a PG. And then we attack him with that last column, which he heals down to 4. So he rides Mordred Phantom, uses the skill of his Onyx Dust to get a Blaster Dart, and then he's playing 2 of the grade 1s and Blaster Dart combined. So he does have the quote-unquote optimal setup here. However, we do have another Claret Sword in our hand, so as you guys can see, we stayed at pretty low damage, so it's pretty easy to take a Claret or a Mordred turn. And then we go into Claret Sword again. We check top 3. We only get 1 grade 1 off the top, so it's only plus 10k boost this time. So we're really trying to figure out how to make this happen. But we go into Morian Spear, we drop 1, we draw 1, we drew a heal, unfortunately. So we attack for 15, our opponent intercepts with Blaster Dart. He PGs our Vanguard, which we heal off the grade 1, and then we attack for 38. We just need 1 more turn of survival, which we do have 3 heal triggers in our hand and 2 PGs, so chances are than not, we're also at 4 damage, so we can also get away with quite a bit. So we guard with a heal trigger, we PG the Vanguard attack, or sorry, we actually 2 to pass the Vanguard attack, so that we can double PG. So we hope to draw something good. We drew a Dark Pride. So we're thinking about if we want to use the Dark Pride skill or Morian skill. So we end up using Dark Pride. We attack for 15, then 36 to our opponent's Vanguard. Our opponent guards for 28, and then he intercepts for a 1 to pass. So we do not get the 1 to pass. However, we do use the skill of Claret Sword. Boom, top 7. He 1 to passes us again, and then unfortunately has a PG for the last column. So if we had checked a trigger anywhere in there, we would have won, but unfortunately we could not check a trigger for the life of us. But yeah, BB Exceed takes that one off of us. We basically deck out. And like I said, you know, that's another reason why you just want to end your opponent early. Now, on the second Claret Sword turn, if I was able to get that one off, like, I have a saying, and if that saying is, if you're able to get 2 Claret Swords off in a row, I think you just auto-win. Like, there are most scenarios where you get Claret Sword off twice in a row, like 2 turns in a row from the starting grade 3 turn. I think you just win. Like, it's too much pressure for your opponent to deal with. But we're playing against an Arakami here. As you guys can see, we go first. We use Morian Spear. Boom. Get rid of that. We use Dark Pride. We do not mill any grade 1s. And then we use Blue Espada. And then we use Ness, just kind of filling up our drop zone here. So we're attacking our opponent. Our opponent hits a damage trigger. Our opponent rides Toho, which is pretty unfortunate. And then checks top 5 and gets a Vanquisher. So his hand is 3 Shaturas and 2 Jagged Shots and a Vanquisher, which I did not know during the time of recording this, obviously, because my opponent's hand is not open to me. So obviously there's no way to know that. But I think I should have definitely went Force 2 here. I definitely could have forced a lot more pressure if I did that. I just didn't know what his hand was like, and I didn't know how long we were going to risk survival. But, you know, honestly, that's not an excuse either. We definitely should have still went for the Force 2 requirement just to put a lot more pressure on him because he was at too low of damage. Oh, but this is also our friend Joe. I forgot to mention that. I just now saw the name in the chat. So he attacks us for 25. He used Vanquisher to bind some of our cards. And thank goodness that, you know, this type of Narukami does not give skills for, like, continuous cards in Bind Zone, because if that does, then Claret would be a terrible matchup for this deck. But as you guys can see, he's attacking us with his multitude of Shaturas and all that stuff. He has built up a pretty good hand, which is another reason why we should have just went Force 2 before he got all this. But I would say it's pretty unwinnable at this point, unless, like, something amazing happens, because he does have 2 PGs in his hand. So we attack, and oh, I actually forgot that this happened. So we attack with the Claret Sword, and Joe no guards, which is really funny, and then we double crit him. So, hey, I guess that's how we got to bring home the bacon. You know what I'm saying? The bacon, the Gouda, the cheese. But with that being said, guys, that has been the FutureFight Vanguard video for Claret Sword. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, definitely be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe so that you don't have to miss any more content from me, and look forward to our Vanguard 0 video that's coming out tomorrow. Also be sure to check out our second channel, Let's Plays Animes, and check out our sponsor Vision so that you don't have to miss any content going forward. They're also having a team tournament this weekend, so get your friends. If you guys, if your BCS got canceled, which is everyone, you know, because coronavirus. I don't have coronavirus. I just coughed for effect, you know what I'm saying? But definitely, if you were looking forward to your team tournament, but you could not, you know, get your team tournament with your friends, get your friends, come down to VCC on Saturday. I think it's going to be probably a really good turnout. Like the previous tournaments have been good turnout. So definitely be sure to go check that out. If you guys need a link, go to my Facebook page, my Cardfight Empire Facebook page, and message me on there, and I will shoot you guys a link or all the information that you need to know for that. But with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Vanguard 0 video. Peace, guys.